going to apologize beforehand, but I'm going to infect the passion of technology in about 12 minutes. So a quick show of hands, how many of you have heard of the term blockchain? Okay, that's a good number. How many of you understand the mechanics of blockchain? Head, no. To keep up with the thought leadership here, I will be discussing blockchain's impact on Web 3.0. To discuss how we got here, let's begin with Web 1.0. With Web 1.0, we had static websites with little peer-to-peer interaction. The data within those websites were stored in files, and we had our first technological disruption, email. With Web 2.0, we created more of a collaborative environment, and we were introduced to social media websites such as MySpace, YouTube, and Facebook. With Web 3.0, although there is no clear definition as it's still being developed, we're seeing the early stages of Web 3.0 with artificial intelligence, Google Home, and Amazon Alexa. We're also seeing a more decentralized, secure environment with the emergence of blockchain. So, although many associate blockchain with Bitcoin, blockchain is the underlying technology in which the Bitcoin cryptocurrency is built upon. To better understand this concept, let's frame it like we're in the classroom and the professor is grading the final. Now, let's increase the number of professors to 10, 100, or 1,000, and they're distributed around the world. This demonstrates the decentralized nature of the blockchain that grows larger and more secure with time. Now, let's say that these professors are auditing those grades and coming to a consensus that those answers are correct. This is increasing the validity and trust in those answers or those transactions. Now let's say a couple of students know they didn't do so well on the final and they wanted to hack or modify that block. They would have to have the computing power of Google in order to modify that particular block. If, for whatever reason, there's a discrepancy in a block, it is easily detectable, which translates to the immutability of the blockchain and that it cannot be changed or modified. Once all the transactions have been audited and approved and a consensus is met, that block is created, added to the chain, transparent to everyone within the blockchain network. So, although the previous scenario was just an example, organizations and countries are already implementing this technology. In one of the first cases of blockchain within a supply chain environment, in an effort that would normally take them 6.5 days, Walmart was able to recall one batch of mangoes in 2.2 seconds. They did this in collaboration with the blockchain they created with IBM. I want to repeat that. 6.5 days to 2.2 seconds. What if you do your taxes in 2.2 seconds? In one of the first cases of our federal government using blockchain, Catherine Holmes shared in her TED Talk how she helped indict federal agents on fraud, extortion, and embezzlement using the immutable, transparent nature of the blockchain. In the first case of one of our states using blockchain, Ohio became the first state to allow organizations to pay taxes using the Bitcoin cryptocurrency. On an even larger scale, countries such as Ghana and the Republic of Georgia are embracing this technology to track and trace land ownership, which has been a problem in their communities for years. Also, Slovenia and Switzerland are looking to become blockchain nations as they are trying to incorporate blockchain within their future growth strategies. So with this technology being put into practice by organizations and countries, the underlying question that still remains is, what about the people? How can this technology, regarded by Gartner and the Harvard Business Review as a technology that could potentially rival the internet, benefit us? Going back to the recent Russian hacking allegations, imagine if we could vote from the comfort of our homes. Using secure public and private keys, we could put our information and our voter registration on the blockchain. It could be transparent as soon as we cast our vote. Keeping with the public and private keys, what if we put the control of our patient medical records in the hands of the patients themselves? This could potentially reduce the risk of medical errors that lead to between $19 to $27 billion in costs and 250,000 deaths each year. To counter the drugs, the counterfeit drugs that enter in our country, we could track and trace these drugs on the blockchain from source to pharmacy, and we could use the same blockchain for the foods that we consume from farm to grocery store. And finally, through the use of smart contracts, which are electronic contracts that execute based on predetermined rules, we could have our retirement accounts and our government pensions automatically deposited into our bank accounts without an intermediary, reducing the risk of human error. So with that information, it's time for a quiz. If you look under your seat, you'll see a pen and piece of paper. Okay, I didn't get anybody. Got college students saying, it's the weekend, I don't even do homework during the week. This guy's nuts. Okay, back to the program. To take this a step further, to understand how the blockchain works in a supply chain environment, one of my peers, Daniel Stanton, created this blockchain simulation tool in collaboration with the University of South Dakota and the Air Force Institute of Technology. In this example here, we're transferring the ownership of an asset to the Department of Defense. This would be considered a permissioned blockchain, where only users with credentials to access that website could view this information. We could also have a permissionless blockchain, where the information within the blockchain is visible to everyone. This would be applicable to our tracking and tracing of our pharmaceuticals, as well as our food example. Going back to our classroom example, once the transaction is initiated, the nodes are notified. Once they come to a consensus, that block is created and added to the blockchain. Now, imagine these transactions here as blocks within a blockchain. Now imagine these transactions as your full medical history. And this full medical history is transparent to all medical practitioners around the world. So let's say you're in Hawaii, you're on vacation, you have to go into an urgent care facility. You have your medical history on your blockchain application, and the medical practitioner in Hawaii has your medical history on the blockchain. Now, let's say the same medical history can save the lives of others. If these practitioners use the blockchain as a knowledge base, they could filter on similar symptoms and diagnoses to save the lives of others. So for the last time, make sure you understand this now. Once the transaction is initiated, nodes are notified. Once they reach a consensus, the block is created, added to the blockchain, and you have the blockchain. One of the most important pieces to the blockchain are the hashes that we have here. The hashes perform two things. One it encrypts the data within that particular block. And think of that encryption similar to how our credit card transactions are encrypted. And two, it creates the link or the glue that keep the blockchain together. So as you can see here, you have the current and previous hash, and all the blocks have that same information, which is how that link becomes together. So finally, if there is any discrepancy within the blockchain, it's easily detectable, which is how the blockchain maintains its security and immutability. So we went through a number of examples tonight, but we have to share this knowledge outside of these four walls. Typically, whenever you're driving down the road and you see new construction, you wonder what's being built. You see the equipment, you see the resources, but in reality, not much is really happening. That's where we are with blockchain from a societal aspect. I asked for you to go to this link here and think about the examples we shared tonight and think about how you can improve on them. Think about how you can take them a step further. If we all do this and we come together as a collective, the sky's the limit to what we can build. Thank you.